Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for another episode of Never Ever Mets on AUNTIE. Season 1, episode 2, Never Ever Mets. And I know Alexis might feel like she wish she never met Dominique because I sure wish we never had to see him. But you know what? I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm not the person who is mad at AUNTIE for putting this fool on TV. I'm not. And let me tell you why I'm not. Because one thing I've realized out here is that people learn different kind of ways. Some people learn by you telling them, hey, watch out for these types of guys. I'm going to describe the guy to you. Be careful. Look out for them. And some people learn because you know what? They got to see it for themselves. So for all the women out there, because you know my station is always about, my YouTube channel is always about warnings to women. For all those women out there who can't learn by just listening, and the only way they learn is by seeing it for themselves, here it is. You saw it right here for your very own eyes, and now you know what it looks like, and now you can avoid it. Okay. Sorry that Alexis has to be the guinea pig. Sorry that this is what is up on the screen. But as they tried to lie to us last week and tell us, oh, this was all for TV. No, it wasn't, girl. No, it wasn't. This wasn't all for TV. This was some bad TV for you. Who the heck comes up with a scheme to come on TV to be beaten up by some man? Girl, y'all didn't plan this. You didn't plan it. If you planned it, then something wrong with you. Something is wrong with you if you planned this to be coming on TV. Y'all wanted 15 minutes of fame. Well, guess what? You got it. You famous now. That's why I got him on my thumbnail, because I want him to be the poster child. And he had on the right t-shirt. He had on that right t-shirt. We know what we call it. We call that t-shirt a wife beater t-shirt for a reason. It's a horrible name. It is a horrible name, but we call it for a reason. And we call it that for a reason so women can start cluing in on certain signs. First of all, here's my warning. Any man that wears that t-shirt in combination with, because there's a lot of men who wear a t-shirt like that. Ain't nothing wrong with those men. But let me tell you, women, here's my warning. If he wears a t-shirt like that and he got a beer belly and he has on gold chains and he has 3 pounds of steel in his mouth, and he got a teardrop coming down and a neck tattoo, stay away from him. There's my warning. There is my warning. Now, if he has any one of those things by themselves, I'm not going to say nothing about that man. I'm not going to come to no conclusions. But as if he got all these things together at one time, stay away from him. And let me tell you, if he got a pit bull on a big old chain, woo, stay away from him. If he got on this wife beater t-shirt, he got a beer belly like Dominique has. He got on fake gold chains. He's got neck tattoos. He's got 3 pounds of steel in his mouth. He got a teardrop coming from his eye. Okay. And he's walking around with a pit bull and chain, and he's talking the way that Dominique talks. Stay away from them. If he looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, he's a duck. I know people out here nowadays, they say, oh, you so judgmental. No, this is called discernment. Don't let society, ladies, out here try to fool you to say that because you use wisdom, because you can sum up people, that you're judgmental. That's not judgmental. That's what you do to practice discernment to keep you out of trouble. Okay, that's what you do. Remember, lady, you always have the choice to control who's in your space. That's not judging you. I tell people all the time, I really don't care who you are. You could be whoever you are. You could do whatever you want to do. Go out in the world and do you, boo. But I get to control this space right around me. And what you're not going to do is you're not going to flip it on me and tell me I'm being judgmental because I'm controlling my space around me. Nope, you're not going to do that. You're not going to put the work on me to let you into my life when I see things about you where you don't deserve to be in my life. See, that's a trickery of the mind. And this is what society is doing to younger people out here. They want, oh, we should be so accepting of everybody. We shouldn't cast any judgment on people. No, it's not judgment when I say be what you want to be, do what you want to do, act any kind of way you want. But here in this perimeter around Deborah, I get to control this zone. It's a no-fly zone. I get to control it. This is my space. I'm not telling you what to do out in the world, but I'm telling you what you can do over here, and I'm telling you who I let into my space. You control that, lady. Ladies, you need to take your power back. Stop trying to do this thing that society is teaching you now. Don't be judgmental. Give everybody a chance. No, you don't. You don't need to give everybody a chance. This world is full of billions of people. I'm like a club. I can't let everybody into my club, so I have to have some rules. Okay, don't let people out here make you believe that in your personal space, you can't have rules of who you let in. You absolutely can't. And I'm telling you right now, there is no way Dominique would have ever made it into my personal space, even when I was younger. A t-shirt like that, tats all around, teardrops, grills in his mouth, talking crazy like that, the way he talks. Absolutely not. He would have never made it. Never, ever made it. And I'm going to say one more thing, ladies. Stop trying to be so tough. Stop trying to be so tough. Run away. Cry. Scream. Ask for help. When you see something like this coming at you, like Dominique was coming at her, don't sit up there and try to stand up to him. Don't try to go chest to chest with him. Run. You don't even got to pick up no frying pan like she had to do to try to save herself. Run and start crying and screaming for help. That's what you need to do. Stop trying to be so tough to confront men like this and tell them who they are. You don't owe them any explanation of why you're running away from them. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to tell them what they did. You don't have to tell them why they were wrong. They don't deserve no explanation from you. All you need to do in that moment is run, flee, and ask for help. Because they was up there in that kitchen and wasn't nobody helping her at first. The only person who came to help her, the only other man in the room that came to help her was Josh, who's about half the size of Dominique. And he stepped in and said, let me break this up. I gave him a whole lot of cool points. But that other fellow over there, what was his name? Aaron. It's not Aaron. What's his name? Yeah, his name was Aaron, the one from Atlanta with the 2 earrings. He didn't do nothing but sit up there and drink a glass of water. Nothing. He had on the same damn t-shirt himself, sitting up there and drinking a glass of water like he's sitting at the movie theater watching all this unfold, but did nothing. Did nothing to break this up. Did nothing to try to protect Alexis whatsoever. Alexis was embarrassed. She called it right. You know, when you get the real emotion out of a person is when you interview them right after it's happened. That's why police like to interview people exactly after the crime or whatever happens, because that's when you get their real story. Because later on what happens is they come back later and they try to change their story because they try to change their story to make themselves look better. So what the real story is exactly what Alexis said after it happened, and she was embarrassed. She was scared and she was embarrassed. Now she running around on here on TV talking about it was all a plan, a plot, entertainment for TV. Girl, what did you get paid? What did you get paid to get beat up on national TV? What did you get paid? In fact, you didn't even get to stay on the show. Y'all was both kicked off from episode 1 at the top of episode 2. So what did you get? You were unpaid actress? No. Your sentiments that you expressed earlier on were that you were scared and you were embarrassed. That's it right there. Stick with that. That's what you should have stuck with. Now, everybody thinks she out here protecting Dominique. She's not protecting Dominique. She's not protecting Dominique at all. What she's protecting is her image, because her image she had was that she was embarrassed. I want everybody to know this. She's not protecting Dominique. She's protecting herself. Her image. That's what she's saying. I can't go out here and tell people I got beat up on national TV like the way I did. I'm so embarrassed about that. So what I'm going to come up with was, oh, this was all just fun and games. This is what happens in these type of cases. It happens a lot with women who get abused. They come up with these after stories. Everybody thinks the after stories are to protect the man. A lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's to protect the woman, because the woman wants to be seen as strong. She doesn't want to be seen as weak. So she comes up with this story that she was a willing participant, that she contributed to it, because then she doesn't seem weak. She seems like she's strong. She's in a strong position. This isn't coming from protecting Dominique. I don't believe it. It's the same thing. I don't know if I had talked about it with the other Alexis from Ready to Love when that stuff went down with Jonathan. Everybody was running around talking about Alexis was protecting Jonathan. No, she wasn't. Alexis was embarrassed. Alexis was embarrassed, and Alexis likes to be strong. Alexis likes to pretend she can handle everything and handle everybody. This is the Alexis on Ready to Love. So when that stuff happened with her with Jonathan, which of course is nowhere near what happened with this guy on here, this Dominique guy, but she was embarrassed, and it was a form of Jonathan going outside of the boundaries, doing something he shouldn't have been doing in terms of touching a woman. It was wrong. And what Alexis was, she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed over the moment. And the way you make an embarrassing moment go away, because you don't want to be seen in that weakened position, is you act like it ain't a big deal. You act like you was part of it. See, Alexis brushed aside what Jonathan did on Ready to Love because she said, oh, it's not a big deal. She wasn't protecting Jonathan. She was protecting her image of being a strong black woman. See, that's what I'm telling you. Everybody needs to drop this strong black woman out here because it gets you in trouble. Now you got this Alexis on this show, Never Ever Mess, acting like she's a strong black woman and she can stand up to Dominique. You can't stand up to Dominique, and you shouldn't have to stand up to Dominique. The minute Dominique started coming up on you, poking out that big old belly and that hairy chest, what you should have done was you should have turned around and you should have run. You shouldn't have stood in front of him arguing him. Don't do that, women. Don't try to stand up to men. Be weak. If that's what you believe it is in your mind, is being weak, be weak. I don't think it's weak. I think it's being strong. I think running away, calling for help, ringing the bell is strong, right? Don't do this, ladies. Don't do this. I'm glad they put it on national TV. I'm glad, because hopefully some other woman right out there will not only recognize this behavior, she'll also recognize this Dominique. He's the poster child. Stay away from him out there. Stay away from him. And let me tell you something else. Instead of being embarrassed about this fight, Alexis, instead of being embarrassed about getting beat up by this crazy man on national TV, you don't need to be embarrassed about that. Don't be embarrassed for someone else's bad behavior. But what you should be embarrassed about is that bad BBL you got. You're right about that. That's what you should be embarrassed about, because let me tell you, the more I looked at her on this television show with them pants she had on and them shirts she was wearing with all her breasts out, I'm like, nah, that's what you should be embarrassed about. Don't be embarrassed about this Dominique, but be embarrassed about that BBL. And let me tell you what, stop spending your money on bad BBLs, ladies, especially when you're a mother with children, and start spending your money on some therapy. Spend your money on some therapy, because that's what Alexis needs to go spend her money on now. Not getting that BBL redone, but going to get some therapy, figuring out why the heck is she down here on these YouTube streets now after this show has been filmed, trying to spin this little lie that this was all an acting gig and this is what she and he cooked up and they're just playing it out on TV. Girl, go figure out why you're willing to let this happen to you and then come up with this lie to protect your image, when really what you should be doing is you should be playing the victim, because you are the victim. If there's any moment in time when we should be out here playing the victim, is when we're real victims. People out here be playing the victim when they really ain't no victim. This moment right here, you a victim and you should be playing it. But instead, you trying to appear if you strong, you a strong black woman and you was part of this. And now he gets to get off scot-free and he gets to go along with it. Please put him up on TV. Put him up on poster child, because he might just be getting reviewed on another show, which is Love After Lockup. I'm about to review that show. Y'all come back tomorrow. I'm about to review a Love After Lockup tomorrow. And if Dominique ain't careful, he want to be on TV. He want to be on reality TV. That's going to be the next show he's going to be on. Love During Lockup. That's what I'm reviewing. I'm not reviewing Love After Lockup. I'm reviewing Love During Lockup. And that might be Dominique's next gig if he don't get his life together. But I was glad they went off the show. And I was glad because as soon as they left, the energy of the whole show, the retreat, everything changed. Everything changed. It was like just a heaviness was lifted from the show, y'all. I was so happy about it. I could feel it through the screen. I could feel like this is a turning point in the show, because we were like, what is this show going to be about? And let me tell you, once they were removed from the show, I felt like this show was then able to come through and start shining. And I'm feeling good about the show, y'all. I am feeling good about the show. It's definitely some foolishness and foolery going on, but at least it was interesting. At least it was interesting, and at least we are now seeing some dynamics between these men and women. Because honestly, y'all, what I was seeing on the TV screen, I feel like it really does represent the things that happen when you meet people that you want to date. I really do. I think this show is going to be some good lessons for a lot of people out here. And even though the premise of the show, which is we've been talking on the internet for up to 12 years, good Lord, I think this is what the beginning of dating looks like anywhere. No matter if you're doing it for a month with a person, 2 months with a person, 3 months with a person, it really doesn't matter in that way, because I think what we're seeing on the screen is very representative of what people go through in dating out here, the conversations they have or need to have, and how they can become quickly turned off. I know this whole show was about trying to get everybody to the boom boom room, trying to get them there. They were introducing all this Kama Sutra and everything, but I don't think everybody gonna make it to the boom boom room. Otherwise, it's gonna have to change from the boom boom room to the bam bam room or something else, because I don't think it's gonna be a whole lot of love making going up in there. Maybe some few couples. We can see already that Shay and Josh already made it to the boom boom room. They turned their shower into the boom boom room. They said 12 years, we getting it on day one, we getting it on. I sure hope Josh ain't with the woman of that 3-year-old. I hope it ain't no woman at home back in Tennessee finding out now that, oh, I guess we broken up. She thought they was together, but she see him on this TV show, and now they broken up. Where did Josh tell that woman that he was going? Did he say he was going to California for a business trip, and he gonna wind up on this show? Good Lord, what is going on? And then you had Sienna and you had Brandon talking about the very thing I was talking about last year, like, hey, Florida people ain't trying to move to New York. Brandon was like, I'm not gonna be moving to New York, but you can come down here to Florida because your money can go real far down here in Florida. You can get you a nice house. I'm telling you, that's what all people got to do, is introduce a little bit of logic into these relationships. A lot of people live in fantasy. People want to know why they don't work out with people, because they start believing in fantasy. They don't introduce enough logic. The logic is somebody from Florida who's living a pretty decent life in Florida. Their money is going pretty far in Florida, depending on where you live in Florida. They're not moving to New York. Forget about it. So if any New York women are dating men in Florida, unless that Florida man is a multimillionaire, not even a millionaire. And even millionaires don't want to move to New York. They're moving away from New York. So if you internet dating, ladies, and you are in New York, if you're not willing to move, you need to, I don't know, because there ain't no need to date no man if you live in New York in another state, unless he's already planning on coming. They're not going to move to New York. It's too expensive. You know, it's just too expensive. Some people will move to California because they have this image of California. But even moving to California is tough when you come from another state. So when you out there dating on the internet and you got your search fields, your filters on your dating app, and I believe you should open up your search fields. Open them up. Let everybody come in. But you better be willing to move. You better be willing to move if the right guy comes along. Because the other option is you got to date a man that's a multimillionaire, not just a millionaire, because you can't be no millionaire moving to New York. That ain't going to get you that far either. But we did find out that Brandon has 2 children. Remember I was asking, does Brandon have children? Because I saw the age discrepancy. I saw that Sienna was 43. And then I saw that Brandon was younger. And so we did find out that Brandon already has a 4-year-old daughter and he has a 13-year-old son that he loves. And so odds are he's okay with not having no more children. So that was a good answer. And then, but we did find out he ain't interested in moving to Florida. He's not going to leave his kids. He's not going to be going to no high cost of living state. So unless Sienna is willing to come down there, they ain't going to go nowhere. And as this show went on, we found out they got more problems than geography. They got more problems than geography, and I don't know why they didn't figure out these problems before, but I know why, because it was fantasy. This talking on the phone and on the internet, it's all fantasy. Real life begins, like I said, when you face to face in front of each other. But when they had their moment to do the little Kama Sutra exercise, and the position that they chose was the pretzel dip in the ship. Oh no, you could choose the pretzel dip, or you could choose something about something steering the ship. I don't know. And Sienna spoke up right away. We're going to do this one. She bossy, all right. That's the stereotype of women coming from New York. They assertive. They went around talking about that Sienna needs an alpha male. No, she don't, because she going to clash with an alpha male. She needs a man she could boss around. She don't need no alpha male. I can't stand it when real strong women talk about they need an alpha male, because what they saying is they're so strong, they need a man that's going to handle them. Nah, that's just going to end up being combative. You might end up being like Dominique over there. No, alpha females, you don't need an alpha male. If you don't want to change alpha females, because this is what y'all calling yourself, you don't need an alpha male. You need a man who's more laid back. You need a man who's going to go with the flow. You need a man who doesn't mind you being an alpha male and doesn't mind you bossing him around. But you don't want no man that's want to come around and be strong and have to put you in your place. Sienna got some meanness to her. Sienna got some meanness. She got some bluntness to her. And let me tell you, she doing a little bit of gaslighting. She doing a little bit of gaslighting out here. And in fact, I'm going to go a little step further. I think something wrong with Sienna. I think something wrong with Sienna. But first of all, this little Kama Sutra position that they chose, where she gets to sit on top of him, there you go. That's demonstrative of itself of what she wants to be. She want to be on top. She want to be the person in control, dominating. She does not want to be in any sort of submissive sexual position. She wants to be in the dominant position. She doesn't want the man contorting her body. She wants to be the one sitting on top of him with all the strength. Whoo, I'm in charge. I know who Sienna is. She's a beautiful lady, but she like to be in charge. She like to run men, and that ain't going to go over well with a lot of people. It may not even go over well with other women. Because no one likes a bossy person. People talk about, no, a man don't like a bossy person. Women don't even like being bossed around by another woman. But the Hope, Sharonda, she called it out good. She said, you look like you agitated sitting over there on him. And he said, I'm bored. She was agitated and he was bored. LaRonda said, you chose a position that don't require no work. And she like, relationships or work. LaShonda, I forget what her name is. Not only did she not want to do no work, she want to be in charge. I'm telling you, she want to be the dominant one where he can't get up unless she say so. But when they were having that little conversation at the pool table and she was telling him that he need to move to New York, he was like, I ain't moving to New York. She was trying to boss him around then. And she's like, well, I'm not a fan of Florida. Well, if you ain't a fan of Florida, you shouldn't have been dating him on the internet. And he live in Florida. If you ain't a fan of Florida and you don't even think you can move to Florida, then why are you talking to him? She said, are we compatible? Well, no, not if you saying you ain't moving to Florida. We not compatible. He said, he tried to tell her nicely, sometimes you flip flop on your answers, because all this time we've been talking, you've been talking about you open to the idea of moving to Florida. But now all of a sudden you're talking about you not open to the idea of moving to Florida. It sounds kind of flip-flopping to me. And then she says, you know what? A lot of men have told me that. Several men have told me that before. And Brandon was like, really? How many of them have told you? He goes, like 3 or 4 men have told me. You may be the third or fourth person that has said that I'm not, that I'm inconsistent. And Brandon said, well, that's interesting. Yeah, tell me more, tell me more about that, because that's kind of scary to hear, that not only am I telling you, but you telling me 3 or 4 other men have told you that in your past. And then she says in her gaslighting manner, she goes, are you trying to tell me that I'm inconsistent? Girl, you the one you just told me that 3 or 4 other men have said you inconsistent. And now all of a sudden you starting to act like I'm the first person that's told you this. She said, are you trying to tell me I have a history of being inconsistent? What? You just told me your history. You just told me that 3 or 4 men said that you were inconsistent. I wasn't telling you your history with other men. I was telling you my experience with you. You're the one that brought in the history. And now you mad at me because you saying to me, are you now trying to tell me that I have the history of being inconsistent? Girl, your head just spun around on your shoulders. You starting to scare me, Sienna. You are starting to scare me. Then you start telling, sometimes, you talk over people and you don't listen well. And then boom, just like that, you a bitch. Woo, woo, woo. We need to change her name from Sienna to Sybil. Because this girl got multiple personalities. I think Sienna got multiple personalities. Brandon thinks it's flip-flopping. No, it ain't flip-flopping. It's flip-flopping to two different personalities. One personality is from New York. Then there's another personality from Florida, because them two different personalities. One want to move to Florida. The other one doesn't want to move to Florida. One of them is inconsistent. The other one is just appalled at the fact that you would even call her inconsistent. One of them doesn't care that he's got 2 kids by 2 different women. And now the one that we got here now on TV is appalled by the man that has 2 children by 2 different people. Brandon is like, what? We've been out here dating on this phone or this internet now for 6 months. I forget how long. And now all of a sudden you mad calling me inconsistent because I got 2 kids by 2 different women. Woo! We should call her Sybil. Maybe the 2 personalities we looking at right now are Sienna and Sybil, and we don't know which one's gonna show up. She started going off on him, talking about, dude, you was married and you didn't stick in no marriage, and you the one that's inconsistent. And he was like, well, at least I've been married. At least I married the woman. He goes, well, you didn't marry the second one. And she said, you should have stuck in there all that time. He said, well, I don't believe in sticking in on marriage when you're not happy. They was trying to calm her down and say, girl, we got 10 more days to go. You coming in too hot. You coming in too hot. You need to slow it down. Give him some time. Give him 10 days because you coming firing in. But Brandon is checked out. He's done. Ain't no way Brandon is going to go any further with Sienna. This is the end. This is the end of the road with Sybil and Sienna, because it's 2 of them. It ain't one. It's 2 of them. He said, if we left tomorrow, we sure wouldn't be leaving together. Which one ain't you leaving with, Brandon? You not leaving with Sybil, or you ain't leaving with Sienna? You better make sure you don't leave with either one of them, because it's 2 of them living up in there. There are 2 women living up in Sienna. And I'm going to tell you what, when they were on the internet and they were dating on the phone, Sienna and Sybil made sure that when they were on the phone, the only person that showed up was Sienna. That's who she made sure of, because when Sybil was around, she made sure she didn't pick up that phone. She made sure she didn't accept that FaceTime. She was able to hide Sybil from Brandon because she could pick and choose when to answer the phone, pick and choose when to talk to him. But when you in someone's presence and you are there all day long, she can't hide Sybil. She can't hide him. This is why you can't talk to nobody for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years and not meet them in person. Because then what happens is they can't hide they double personalities. There's Sienna and there's Sybil. It's 2 of them. 2 of them. But that's all right, Sienna and Sybil. If you don't want Brandon, Aaron does. Because when Brandon was giving Alexis a hug when she got ready to leave, Aaron came over there and gave Brandon a hug. Brandon was hugging Alexis saying goodbye. And then Aaron, with the 2 earrings from Atlanta, Georgia, came over and gave Brandon a hug. That was funny. But then we got Chris and Sandia. Sandia over here trying to have a good conversation with Chris, saying you was out of line. You was out of pocket over there talking about you got multiple women. But she got it wrong. He wasn't saying that he was attracted to multiple women at this retreat. So I do not know where Sandia is, where she got that from. Listen, Sandia, if you're going to ear hustle on a conversation, you better get it right. You better get it right, because you got that conversation all wrong. He was wrong, but you got the wrong. You got what he was saying wrong. He was not talking about he was trying to flirt with all these women in his house, because I agree with Chris. He ain't interested in these women. But what you did get right was that he was trying to tell you that you want a many. That's what you should have stuck with. You should have stuck with him talking about you one of many and then telling that to all those men. And then maybe you would have been on solid footing. But you was going down the wrong road. But next thing you know, you got Chris over here talking about, I don't trust no women. Ding, 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 ding. Another red flag. So I got to earn your trust. Oh, good Lord. I don't like to be with nobody who I got to earn their trust. That's an uphill battle. So you mean to tell me when I first meet you, automatically don't trust me? Damn. So now I got to figure out how to make you trust me. You don't trust me with nothing. I ain't telling you to trust me with your social security number and your debit card PIN number, but you don't trust me, period, just to have a conversation. These people need to get some therapy. Chris need to go get some therapy. He run around talking about how he got all this money and everything. Spend some money on some damn therapy. Shoot, people. What's going on behind all this, Chris? He talking about he not emotional. He don't get emotional. Sandia's emotional. Sandia ain't emotional. He act like Sandia is emotionally out of control. She did not look over emotionally to me. She looked like she was just ready to have a grown folks conversation. And what it appeared to me, Chris, was that you were not ready to have a grown folks conversation, and you were not ready to be held accountable. So instead, what you did was you tried to call her emotional. That's what men want to do when they don't want to take no accountability. Oh, you just emotional. Put all the work on the woman. Make the woman feel as if what she's saying ain't justified, when really, nah, it ain't just that I'm emotional. You just don't want to admit to what you did wrong. But you know what? They weren't going to go nowhere because Sandia did get it wrong. He was not saying that he was trying to flirt with all the women in the house or wanted all the women. So he was right on that point. But the bigger point that she was trying to get to, which is what she should have gotten to, was the way that he spoke about her and the way that he spoke to her. And that's where she should have stood, and she didn't. And then he got to wiggle out of it, saying that she just too emotional. What a cop out. She tried to tell him, hey, you know what? You want a little sugar? I thought she was asking him, do you want a kiss? And he's like, I don't want no sugar. I don't want no sugar. He kind of mean too. Where is he from? He from Florida. He got that little mean streak to him, condescending. His stuff come out his mouth that he don't even think about it. But what position did they choose on the Kama Sutra? They chose that position where they straddling each other. I forget what they call it, but where she's straddling him. And but he had some nice words at that moment. He said that she was kind and beautiful, and he would want this to go further. A good moment, finally a good moment, Chris. Try to clean it up. And Sandia says she felt the same. I like Sandia. She says she felt the same. So I hope going forward he treats her a little better. But what I'm seeing right now is I'm just seeing a whole lot of exterior toughness, meanness, condescending, fear from Chris. And then what that does is it comes out the way that he treats women. He got an underlying fear. He needs therapy too. We're going to go along in this season and figure out what's going on with Chris. But there's a whole lot going on with him because the way he be coming at Sandia is unnecessary. Unnecessary. He coming at her like she did something wrong to him. She has not done anything to him. But Shay and Josh, they the ones that's been together for 12 years on the phone. And you can see it. You can see that they've been together for 12 years because they actually seem like they really know each other. This was a whole side chick emotional relationship for 12 years. All that time that Josh was having those other women, having babies with those other women, he and Shay, I believe, really were talking because they seem like they know each other. Because the minute they saw each other in person, you could tell that they have a lot of history with each other. And they started gelling together very, very well, very soon. They had their little Kama Sutra position, and he was like, this feels like home. And she said, she tingling, baby. I'm tingling. But they was spooning. I don't know what the Kama Sutra pose is, but we call it spooning. She was little spoon and he was big spoon. But they look right at home, just like they said. I can see these two working as long as Shay want to move to Memphis, Tennessee, because Josh said he ain't leaving his kids. He is not leaving his kids. So unless Shay is willing to move from Florida to Tennessee, then they're going to go right back to being on the phone and being fantasy couple, even though they really do seem like they have really great chemistry. And then you had Aaron and Joanna, zero sexual chemistry. Aaron don't even want to be with a Joanna. He want to be with a Joe. You see how uncomfortable he was being on top. He must be a bottom in real life. He was uncomfortable being on top. In real life, he must be a bottom. What was theirs called? A landslide. And then she said she was a sex instructor. She might be Joanna is a dominatrix, but she said she was a sex instructor, but she looked uncomfortable too. I think Joanna is used to being in the dominant position. So maybe if they just leaned into who they are, what she should have said was, let me be on top and you be on the bottom. Maybe that would have been a better fit. These two, I don't even know how these two got along on the phone. How the heck did these two even date on the phone for, let alone, I don't know how long it's been, 2-3 months, let alone act as if they wanted to meet each other in real life. I just don't even see what these two have in common, even in conversation. Maybe the conversation was all about Joanna talking about how she likes to dominate people. And then maybe it was Aaron because he likes to be dominated. Maybe that's what they got in common. Because other than that, unless it's tasting jewelry, tasting earrings, maybe they could swap earrings. I really do not see any type of chemistry. I'm not even talking about sexual chemistry. They don't even have no friendship vibes. You know, sometimes you meet a person and you're like, no, there's no sexual chemistry, but they cool. I could be their friend. Joanna act like she don't even like Aaron. Joanna act like she caught Aaron with a man or something, and now she mad at him because she don't even want to get in the hot tub with him and sit next to him. What's wrong with that? There'd be complete strangers sitting in the hot tub. She didn't even want to sit outside the hot tub and sit next to him and have a conversation. Dang, Joanna. What's that all about? Then you had Greg and Millie. They did the spread eagle or whatever you want to call it. And Greg's comment was like, I didn't even need to take you out to dinner to get you spread eagle. Told y'all you need to find out if Greg is homeless, where he living. Talking about I didn't want to take you out to dinner. Listen, they living in the same city. Millie and Greg in the same exact city, and they ain't met. And now he talking about I didn't even have to take you out to dinner. I know you didn't, and you didn't have to pick her up in that car or take her to that house because you may not have either one of those. I don't trust Greg. I don't care how kind he's coming off on this show right now. You live in the same city as Millie, and you have not made it happen to meet her nowhere, not even at no Starbucks. There's a Starbucks on every corner. Every corner. Y'all can meet in the middle. I don't care where you live in LA or wherever it is. Maybe it's traffic and you live an hour apart because of bad traffic. I don't care. There's a Starbucks on every corner. You can find a meetup point. So the fact that he hasn't made it possible to meet Millie, I don't care what type of chemistry I'm seeing between these two on this camera. I want to know why. I want to know why, Greg, you and Millie live in the same doggone city and you guys ain't never laid eyes on each other. So either you lying, you have seen each other, or there's another reason. And if they don't want me to believe that Greg is homeless, they're going to need to give me an answer. Because until I hear an answer, I'm going to be all over Greg. All over him. He either got a whole nother woman living at home in that apartment with him that maybe now he broke up with her, or she going to find out when this show airs that her man was on TV driving up the road to Calabasas to meet a whole nother woman. It's possible. It is possible. He probably could have told her, if he ain't homeless, he got a real job. He probably told her, hey, I got to go on a business trip for 15 days. Or maybe somebody passed away. He better hope that woman don't roll up to Calabasas. It wouldn't be too hard to find the house where they filming this show, because it ain't a whole lot of black people living in Calabasas. All that woman got to do is drive to the city and say, hey, do you know the house where they're staying in filming this show and it's a whole lot of black people? They'll point you right to it. So I don't care how nice Millie and Greg look right now. I need an answer first. And if I like the answer, then maybe I'll go with it. Maybe I'll start rooting for these two. But right now, I don't trust Greg. I don't trust him. And this one to get her in the boom boom room so quickly. Thank you, Millie. I'm glad you put the brakes on that. Let me tell you something. If you couldn't make time to come see me in LA, to meet up with me at a Starbucks or anywhere else, and you think in 15 days I'm gonna be in the boom boom room with you, you out your mind. You had 3 months, 4 months, however long they've been talking, to set up a date for a coffee date, any kind of date. But now all of a sudden you think I'm gonna run to the boom boom room with you? You out your mind. What does Greg think? This is some Amazon Prime but JJ, you could order it and the next day it's in the boom boom room waiting on you. No, you had 3 months to order me up and you didn't do it. But now all of a sudden you think I'm Amazon Prime and I'm supposed to deliver this JJ to you in 2 days or less. No, get out of here. And then the last couple we had was Diamond and Aaron from LA, and they're going to be my other MVP couple for the episode, because Diamond was told Alexis, when you was in that mess with Dominique, you should have called me. I heard that, Diamond girl. You got a couple of extra points for me on that as well, because at least she could have been there to, I don't know what she was gonna do. I don't know what she was gonna do, but she was like, you should have called me because you was in over your head. And I really liked the advice that Aaron gave her and said, you could be my daughter, and let me tell you something, you should not be nowhere near around this man. And I really like what he stepped in and told her. And I'm loving the energy that Diamond and Aaron are bringing to this house as the older couple in the house. Now, this idea of them dating for 6 years and never dating, they don't need to be giving no dating advice, though. They don't need to be giving no dating advice, but they good for some other type of advice. And right here in this moment, they gave some good advice. In fact, Aaron shared the story that he was abused by a woman. And I like that he said that, because people always want to talk about it's just women getting abused by men. But let me tell you, this is a real thing out here, women abusing men as well. And I'm glad that Aaron had the self-esteem to admit that he too was a man that used to get beat on by a woman. And remember, Aaron said he likes big women, big BB women. So he might have got his ass kicked. But just right here, this episode, the way that Diamond showed up, the way that Aaron showed up, I'm going to give them some grace over this way they've been dating for the last 5 years. I'm going to give them some grace, and I'm going to root for them, because I like the way they showed up in this episode. I like the level of maturity that they're bringing to this season. Typically, they want the couples all to be in the same age, but I love the energy that they're bringing as the older couple. And hopefully they can give these younger people a few words of wisdom just by being older, but maybe not no advice on dating on the internet, because they done messed that up. But we all ain't perfect, so we all on paper. Ain't nothing wrong with it, because none of us are perfect. We all got areas that we got to learn and grow in. But they seem to have a lot of areas that they can bring to the table in this mix of couples that will help it move along very nicely. But everybody was happy that Alexis and Diamond got kicked off the show. Everyone, just like they said, this is a show for couples. This ain't love after lockup, love during lockup, none of that. This is about to be about love. And we're not sitting up here about to have no fist fights. So I'm glad the two people that got kicked off were kicked off. And like I said, my advice to Alexis is, girl, stop trying to be so strong. Stop trying to protect your image of not being embarrassed, because by you trying not to be embarrassed, you're also inadvertently protecting that fool, Dominique, and he don't need no protection. What he needs to be is exposed. Zero protection, 100% exposure. That's why he's on my thumbnail, so that everybody can see him, watch out, and stay away from him. But that's it, y'all. Talk to y'all later. Bye.